It's Monday, August 26, 2024, and welcome to another edition of X Talks. This is the show where we cover trending topics popular on X, and we just break it down, give a quick backgrounder. I give my 2 cents, state some facts, and we talk about what's going on in our country, the great old U.S. of A. So before we dive into today's topic, I would just ask you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and drop your comments. I know you're going to have topics. I try to cover all different kinds of topics, from sports to politics to news to entertainment to every video games, anything in between. But it is election season, and there seems to be a lot of ramping up going into the election, as you can imagine. So today is going to be another political discussion, and we are going to be talking about Tulsi Gabbard today. That's right, the former presidential candidate. She never made it to get the nomination in 2020, but she did run as a Democrat in 2020, and she is most famously known for really taking down the presidential run that Kamala Harris was seeking in 2020. So that's what makes today's topic so interesting and intricate. So we always like to dive into the backgrounder first, so let's do that. And you can see here, it's trending number one, and I really didn't have any other topics that were smacking me over the head that I needed to talk about today. CeeDee Lamb signed a contract, but what I'm going to talk about there, he's a great receiver and he deserved it. Neither here nor there. All right, so let's do the quick backgrounder. This is former President Donald J. Trump introducing Tulsi today.
The true American patriot, a 17-year veteran of the Hawaii Army National Guard, a 4-term Democrat congresswoman, very, very popular, the former vice chair of the National Democratic Party and a 2020 Democrat candidate for the United States presidency. You know, she was a very good candidate. Every time she ran, she was good. She did well. She decided to leave. She couldn't take it anymore, but she is very special, and I didn't know this, but she was a lieutenant colonel. That's not bad. Lieutenant colonel. Not bad. I didn't know that. You know, I just found out. I said, put it down. You got to put that down. That's bigger. That's better than all the other stuff I read. But no, she's a special person. She's got great common sense, great spirit. She loves our country, and she loves the people in this room. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, please.
So, there you have it. Tulsi Gabbard is now supporting Donald Trump in his campaign for the presidency, and that, again, marks another major shift from a prominent Democrat switching parties and throwing their support behind the Republican candidate for the presidency. So, I wanted to show you a cartoon. Well, actually, first, before we dive into that, if you don't know who Tulsi Gabbard is, he did give, in a very Trump way, a background on her, but I just wanted to pull this up for you because I do think this is very important. She's an American politician. This is from the Wikipedia. United States Army Reserve officer, political commentator, who is the U.S. representative for Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District from 2013 to 21. She's the first Samoan American to become a voting member of Congress. She was a candidate for the Democratic nomination in the 2020 U.S. presidential election, like I mentioned. And she announced in 2022 that she'd left the Democratic Party to become an independent. So, a very, very similar course to what RFK Jr. pursued. In 2002, Gabbard was elected to the Hawaii House of Representatives at the age of 21, obviously very young. Served in a medical unit of the Hawaii Army National Guard while deployed to Iraq from 2004 to 2005, and was stationed in Kuwait from 2008 to 2009 as an Army military police platoon leader. While a member of Congress, she served as a vice chair of the Democratic National Committee from 13 to 16 and resigned to endorse Bernie Sanders' campaign for the 2016 Democratic presidential nomination. So, you can understand she's kind of an outsider. She was a Democrat, but she wasn't a party line Democrat, and the machine hates that. So I wanted to show you this cartoon because I think this perfectly exemplifies what we're seeing happen right now. So how the middle became the right. This is what's called like the Overton window. So both sides, so here's an undecided voter. That's what the non-colored person is supposed to represent. So then you have the blue person on the left, the right has the red person, and you see that left person in the second frame shove them to the right, and then the person on the right in the red says, "You all right?" The person who was undecided says, "Yeah, thanks." And then the person on the left of the blue saying, "Why are you siding with the bad guys?" Well, I feel like a lot of this is, this is just a very oversimplified way of explaining what the phenomenon we're seeing is, but I think there's merit to it. There's a reason that RFK Jr., he was shunned from the party for thinking differently. Tulsi Gabbard, shunned from the party for thinking differently. Elon Musk was a part of that too. Elon Musk was a darling of the left. Now everybody hates him on the left. So you're seeing this shift. If you're not exactly in line with the thinking on the left, well, it seems as if you are then politically you're just kicked out, and you are put on an island to exist on your own. So that's, I think, what best explains what we see happening with Tulsi and RFK Jr. So I personally, I would have voted, and again, I always talk about this. I'm undecided until Election Day. I'm never locked into anybody. I vote for who I think is going to be better for the country, who is logical in their thinking, who has strong, solid points. So I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. Lately I tend to kind of lean a little bit more conservative because I think there are a lot of great points being made, but I'm also very liberal on a lot of topics as well. So in 2020, I absolutely would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard had she won the nomination. I really like her a lot. What my favorite thing about her is her anti-war stance. She is absolutely against any wars because she was on the front lines as a medic in Iraq and Kuwait. So she has seen the worst things that you could possibly imagine, the atrocities of war. And on the 3-year anniversary of the 13 that were killed in Afghanistan, I think it's a powerful message to resonate, to repeat, is I'm going to vote for whoever is anti-war. Get us out of these wars. They're unnecessary, and just avoid conflict wherever possible. And that's one of her big stances, and that's one of Trump's stances too. So, it does make sense for them to align. She's very strong, and she's great. I really enjoy listening to her speak. She's very intelligent and obviously very passionate, and she was chastised from the party. So what you're seeing is kind of the formation of what's being called the Unity Party. It's something I think that's a long time coming. I think a lot of people, feel like me, that are like politically homeless. I think people who are, crazy on the left, Antifa, and, there's just so many radical extremists on the left. There's that many equal people on the right as well. So don't create the illusion that like there's just one side that's crazy. There are crazy people on both sides. And I think there's a lot of people that are in the middle, and they're like, listen, I got kids. I just want to go to work. I want to have affordable groceries. I want to go on vacation a couple times a year. I don't want to go bankrupt, going to the movies and dinner on a Friday night. So I think there's a lot of these people that see the wackiness on both sides of the spectrum. And my dog agrees, if you can hear. So I think a lot of people just feel like they haven't really felt the sense of unity that it should be to be an American. It feels like the chasm is just getting wider and wider as time goes on. People are digging their heels in more and more and not really listening to what the other side is saying. You should be able to disagree, and you should be able to be friends with people that you don't completely agree with on everything. That's the point. We're free to believe whatever we want, but as long as we keep the United States of America first and foremost in our approach to politics, I think that's kind of what's been lost recently. So it's interesting to see this party of unity. RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk is being talked about as being on Donald Trump's cabinet if he were to win the presidency. So we'll see. It's getting interesting. I don't really mean this to be a politically heavy show, but it feels like every day there's something that's just more groundbreaking. So we still have, 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months until the election. It's August 26th, so you do the math. I'm not too smart. So it's just going to get crazier. And it's just really interesting to observe. This was a big shoe to drop on a Monday. And I'll tell you what, they've really taken the wind out of the sails of the Democratic National Convention. That ran last week all the way up until Thursday. And then Friday he drops the bomb about RFK Jr. And then Monday, Tulsi Gabbard. What else are they going to do? And how is the left going to respond to this? There's a lot of discussion today. I didn't really cover the topic, but I'll just touch on it here. There's a lot of talk about the presidential debate possibly not happening. I think it was slated for September 8th. So we'll see what happens with that as well. There's talk about Kamala wanting to bring notes, which is something that has never been done before. And the Trump campaign saying, no, we agree to these rules. You can't be changing the rules. Obviously, it's he said, she said. We're pointing fingers at each other. Who knows what the result's going to be. But there's just so much going on, and I enjoy talking about it. And I love our country, and I want it to be the best that it can possibly be. And the only way it can be is through public discourse and just reaching across the aisle, extending an olive branch, shaking hands, whatever you want to call it, but talking civilly to each other and understanding where we're coming from to grow as a country. And it seems like that's what's going on right now in our country. Anyone who's not a part of, the steadfast, stay in line, left is getting booted. And there's obviously a trend to kind of form a union. It's interesting to see on my timeline, at least on X, a lot of libertarians who are all in for RFK Jr. now, publicly saying there's some pretty prominent, libertarians out there saying, all right, I'm in. Like, let's learn. Let's talk about this. What's Donald Trump all about? I'd like to listen to his perspective, now that RFK's out of it. So it's really interesting to experience this firsthand. We're witnessing history. This is one of the, it sounds hyperbolic to say it, one of the biggest elections in history, because every 4 years you hear that. So I'm not going to say that, but this one does have very large ramifications, and it's going to be interesting to see not only what happens at the election, but afterward. Regardless of who wins, there's going to be civil unrest, and let's just hope that we can keep it calm and, we don't get too crazy as a country. We're already crazy enough. We're Americans. So that's it for today's X Talk. So if you enjoy these, make sure to subscribe to this channel, like my video, and comment your thoughts on this news today about Tulsi Gabbard. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about her. So until tomorrow, I'm Goldie. I'm here in Dallas, Texas, and I will see you tomorrow for another X Talks.